Hello guys, happy Monday. This week I wanted to talk about something because I got into a rabbit hole the other day. You know how something will just like pop up on your social media and then you like go down this road that like lasts hours all of a sudden? I had one of those moments where I was looking at, so there was this account. It was a Instagram account and I think a TikTok account called Libs of TikTok, referring to like people who think liberally. And so what the account did was like it would take people's TikTok videos and these people that were kind of, I guess, outlandish in a way, the people who are identifying as clown self. And I showed you some of those videos earlier, and I'm going to link the videos in the description, guys, so you can watch what I showed Karen, just as a reference. But videos like that. So they would post stuff like that, and then that's how people get those videos to react to them like that video. But what ended up happening was some of these people got mad, like really mad, and mad at this account, and actually doxed the account. Do you know what doxing is?
No.
So like they found out, someone from like, I want to say like Washington Post went and found out who ran the account and put her information online. And people started showing up to her house and shit. And like the account got took down and all kinds of stuff happened. It was a little extra. But I just thought it was, and it doesn't matter which side politically you go on. I think that if you're upset that people are posting videos that you posted online, then maybe you need to rethink what you're posting.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe you need to not post those videos.
Like if you don't like the way you're being made to look, no one's making you look anyway. They're all they would do is just repost the videos. Yeah. So you put this out there. The first thing I learned, like when internet first started being big when I was a kid, the very first thing I was taught was everything you put online is online forever. Someone could have saved it in their hard drive or took a picture of it or something. Like it's always there. No matter how much you try to delete it or whatever, everything you put on the internet's there for life. And so it's like you post these videos, you can't get upset if people react to them a certain way that isn't the way that you wanted them to be reacted, you know. But it just made me kind of think like this kind of, I know you have two kids that are really in this generation of that like Gen Z TikTok.
Yeah.
And just you watch these videos and you kind of feel like the mental health aspect of some of these kids is like not there. And I don't mean that offensively in any way, but you just like when people are identifying themselves as sloths, and it's like I understand if you are a grown ass adult and you have always felt more feminine and now you want to be a woman. As a human being, I'll respect your decision. You know, we can have a different conversation about when it comes to kids, but if you're a grown ass adult that wants to make this decision, then go for it. You want to go from Steve to Sally, I'll call you Sally. But where you lose me is like the clown self, sloth self, demon self, like these weird they, them, like start making up pronouns and words. It's just, I feel like it flips what was actually, and I don't mean mental condition in the bad way, like what was actually something that was happening in people's brains, like they legitimately felt this way. And now it's kind of, if you look at the statistics of it, it's kind of a fad. And
yeah,
this generation, you know, you think your teenage years, like when I was a teenager, everyone was into like the scene thing. They did that choppy haircut, painted their nails and slit their wrists because it was in. And now this is like the new thing. And when you're a teenager, you gravitate towards, like, I think being in a group, trying to find your place, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You want that peer support and you want to blend with your peers. You want to be like, it's all about, what is it? You know, when you get into psychology and the Freudian theories and, you know, the other psychologists that around those, what is it? It's Freud and what's the other guy they always talk about? Piaget, you know, like your adolescence, it's all about like fitting in, and you want your friends to all like you, so you're going to do whatever they're doing. It's like what was it, our parents always, I don't know if your parents always said this, but my mom would always, well, if so and so jumped off the bridge, would you do it too?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like, that was like in my head, like if I ever did something dumb, well, if they jumped off the bridge, would you do it? No. Well, then why'd you do that? I don't know. Like, I just did. Like, I mean, I don't know. It does have a big effect though. Like, even for my 8 and 7-year-old, I mean, they're on TikTok. They're constantly, you know, like what, YouTube and TikTok videos, and then trying to do whatever. It's almost like a, what do you call it? My brain's like hypnotist, you know, like you see these things in the social media, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know,
and you think
like,
you start to think it's normal.
Yeah. And like I told you, what they were saying, the 2 hours of screen time, more than 2 hours of screen time a day can increase depression rates in our kids. So it's not even so much about the identity. And I keep picturing that person you had me watch. That's the only thing that pops up in my head right now. Like, that's all I see in my head.
But
Thank you for that.
I think it's also in, you know, older kids too, from that age, 7 to 20, whatever, you know, like what a friend of mine always says, like, social media, you got to remember, social media is a highlight reel. So people are only showing you the good stuff. You're not seeing the bad stuff. You're not seeing the hard work that goes into the weight loss.
Yeah.
You're not seeing them, you know, like having to fight themselves not to have a Pop-Tart, you know, like you're not seeing all that. You're just seeing like this pretty before and after, and you're seeing them out at the beach. You're seeing them having fun with their kids. You're not seeing the moment where they're pulling their hair out because the kids are having a tantrum. You're not seeing the moments where they just go in their room to cry for a second because they're so overwhelmed. You don't see that stuff. People aren't posting those pictures of themselves, you know, like they're just posting the good stuff. And so what I think social media has done is kind of given us this, all of a sudden you have a tunnel into other people's lives.
The warped sense of reality.
And you're now in a, like, before it was like you would just compare yourself to people you knew. So if your friends were successful, it made you want to be successful because you were part of this group. Now it's like you're seeing thousands of people all day, every day, posting all this stuff and comparing yourselves to thousands of people. And
absolutely,
I think that, you know, that creates obviously a thing with your mental health where you're, well, I don't look like that. Well, I don't do this or that. Well, I don't go to the beach. I'm always at home. So it's this constant just comparison thing. And then seeing these other people post this stuff. So you're like, oh, well, maybe I should think like that too. And it's just.
Yeah. If I look like that, then I'd be happy. And I just got to get to where she's at, and then I'm going to be happy. Or I got to do this and then I'll be happy. But there is, it puts this whole warped sense of reality out there because we're not seeing all the other stuff. And it's actually very sad. It actually saddens me as a mom with children of different ages. The way social media is and the highlight reel of people's lives. And I think, honestly, the pressure, you know, like, somebody reminded me the other day because I was like, well, I didn't do that when I was a kid or da, 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 da. And they're like, yeah, but you also didn't have social media. Like the social media wasn't the way it was. You know what I'm saying? Like they actually kind of joked last night a little bit because they were talking about how you should have locks on your kids' phones and monitor exactly what it is they're watching and what it is that they're putting into their heads, you know, the teenagers. And because, well, you know, you were talking about my older children specifically, but I can't monitor what they do, obviously. But because back in the day, we had the cord on the phone. Well, if you had a cordless, good for you. But, you know, we had the cord.
Mom could pick up that other end of the phone and listen.
They could pick up the other end and be like, huh, shut it down. You know, like it was more monitored than what it is now. We could have more control, and our parents had more control over what exactly it was that we were picking up, you know, what we were picking up, what everybody was, if we were picking up what somebody was putting down.
Yeah. And control control on what you were exposed to, like
Yes.
your friends, what kind of families, houses you went over to. I remember it being a huge deal just to have a sleepover with somebody. Like the parents had to meet and you had to, like, you know.
We had a Rolodex. My mom had a Rolodex and it had all of our friends' names, address, phone number, their parents' names in there. Like if it wasn't in the Rolodex, you did not go. Period. Like, period.
You had to do a whole meet and greet, background check.
Yeah. That's what my daughter wanted to spend the night at her friend's house the other day. Well, why can't I, Mom? I said, I don't know them people. No, absolutely not. I literally just met your friend. So, yeah, no.
And now they're exposed to all these different people all over the internet that, you know, it just gives this weird sense of reality and what life is supposed to be. And I think that's where the depression aspect might come from, is that you're, like you said, you're always chasing, if I get to this, then I'll be happy. If I get to this, then I'll be happy. But then like, it's always something and you're never actually, you're not finding the happiness in things that can actually make you happy. Family, friends, your job, like finding a career that you enjoy, like finding stuff inside of you that you enjoy instead of constantly searching for like what other people have to make yourself happy. Like,
it's really sad, actually.
Finding the biggest way to find happiness that I've realized is being comfortable with this right here. If you're going for what you want to go for, if you are getting the body that you want, not because of anyone else, but because you want it, if you're happy with what you're doing and who you are and what you want to be, and you know, everything in here has to be. And I think that's where this whole the TikTokers and all that comes on, is it you can kind of see, and I think I see it maybe because I'm older now, maybe as a teenager or whatever, I probably wouldn't see it, but you can almost see them searching for themselves. They're trying to hold on to something to figure out who they are. Yeah. And it's sad to see, you know?
It's so sad, actually.
And if you criticize it in any way, then you're a transphobe or a bigot or some name, and you're a far-right conservative. And I'm just like, look, I have trans friends. I have a pansexual best friend. I have a they-them best friend that I always mess up on because I'm one of those grammar people, and it's so hard for me sometimes. And I don't do it on purpose, and they don't take it personally. But
what do you mean by that? I don't know if I've ever heard that.
So there's a form of this pronoun thing where you can identify as like non-binary, where you don't have a gender, and you identify as a they them. So you refer to
more than one person.
See, that's where I get messed up, because
so you're like multiple. It's not as different than like having multiple personalities, or is that the same thing?
See, that's a whole nother, those are videos I could show you on another one of those things that he did, where these people, it's almost becoming mainstream to have, they call it the system, where they'll have different personalities in one person, almost like having multiple personality disorder. But it's like, I hate to say it's a fad now, but it's kind of a fad. And people are, they'll like snap a finger and they'll be like, hi, I'm John. I am the main person in the system. Hi, I'm Ashley. I have a and they'll go through different people and have different voices and different, like they'll change their expression. And it's the weirdest thing I've ever watched. But I think it's there's something up here that's going on. And I don't think you should be chastised for it, but I also don't think we should be treating this like it's normal.
Well, no, because as a mental health nurse, and we had this class last night, May, this mental health awareness for May, and ironically enough, multiple personality disorder was brought up, and it's a very rare thing, but to have it be like, how do I say this? I'm not saying to have it be normalized, but they were saying how rare it is to actually be diagnosed with this. So I don't, to just go around saying that you're a they, I don't know, like you're a they, am I saying that right?
Yeah, like
or-
literally Demi Lovato identifies as a they them. So when people talk about Demi, I almost said her. When people talk about Demi, they have to be like, well, they had a very good performance and they are going to be going to the Hard Rock Cafe tonight. Like, you have to talk about them like that.
Oh, I'm so behind on the times. I did not I didn't know that. So I guess, I mean, has she been diagnosed with like?
Well, no, but see, that's the thing that people today, and you even just saying that will get you in trouble because people now think the way this has been mainstreamed is that this is just who people are. That's how they self-identify. And if you don't talk about them the way that they want to be talked about, or you have questions about it, or don't think that maybe that's healthy, then you're the transphobe and you're the this, that, and the other. And yeah, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble.
I'm like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know.
And it's, but see, that's where I think the problem lies. And this kind of like, we talked about this last week with the fat acceptance, was like, just because someone's questioning something and they want to have a conversation about it and they might not understand, or they don't think, like, for me, I don't think it's necessarily healthy to just act like this stuff is normal. Like, you talking about yourself with 15 different personalities is not something that should just be ignored. And us just, you don't fix mental health by just like telling them that, oh yeah, you're fine. Like, no, you have to treat the issue. And
and that's kind of what they were talking about too, because a lot of like trauma, you know, when you're younger, like the trauma, what she was talking about, I think we may have even talked about this at some time, either on or off the camera, but like trauma, and at the age that it then affects you as you're older. If you have a traumatic event that happens to you as, I think last night they were saying 7 or 8, I think is what it was. I could be wrong because I didn't write it down, but and then later it'll show up, but it all shows up in different forms, you know, as anxiety, as depression, as OCD, or things like that. I don't know. I just kind of wonder, speaking from, you know, my own experiences, like, could this have been because there was trauma or something like that, that this is happening? I don't know.
And I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like, but I think in this younger generation, it's just probably just a teenage thing. Like, we all go through, like I said, my generation, it was
Identity.
like the scene haircut. And then like, I think freshman year, everyone had the Snooki poof, because my freshman year was when Jersey Shore first came out.
Yeah,
like,
we had that. 2000. What year did you graduate?
11.
Or what year was you? Okay, so you were 2007. That's about right. Yeah.
So yeah, my 2008 was my freshman year. 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And Jersey Shore had just come out, and people were, you know, everyone had this haircut. And then before that, like my middle school years was the scene haircut and Fall Out Boy and all that kind of stuff. You know,
there was the cinnamon thing that everybody was doing. You remember that? Did that get on your side, West Coast?
I was in California. Everything happens in that damn state.
Oh, I was like, what in the world are kids doing?
What
this stuff.
But that's why I just feel like, God, it's, and I don't want to. You should never dehumanize someone for going through something, but I also don't think it's healthy, like I said, to just pretend like there isn't an issue. And these people talking about themselves as different people and identifying as inanimate objects and stuff like that. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, it's weird. It's not.
Well, and like, I think this day and age, we are expected to just
go with it,
accept it. Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. And like, it's like, even a couple of years ago, okay, I'm probably going to catch something for this, but I'm just using an example.
I'm already there.
Like, yeah, I'm just trying to use an example, but I remember, like, I don't even know, was it maybe 10 years ago? Do I even want to say 20? Where like people would try to be like snakes, you know what I'm saying? And they would split their tongue.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
yeah, that was probably early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And it was like, you could have an opinion about it, but that was your opinion. And I feel like it was more acceptable to have an opinion when things like that were like,
or like
not the norm.
big gauges in the ears, and people are
Yeah.
like, okay, like a certain size is whatever,
Yeah.
but once you get to this big
And
then
your
your
hole is hanging
earlobe
to
is
your shoulder.
dripping,
Yeah.
is that gonna look good when you try to have a big kid career later? You know, like,
Yeah, exactly. But now I feel like, gosh, if you dare think anything or say, like you said, or say anything, or because I don't know, I really don't know, I did not know. It's like, you're a horrible person. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, but aren't we entitled to have a freedom of speech, to have our own opinions? Like, why do we all have to have the same opinion? Why do we all have to accept everything? It's like everything has to be accepted. I don't know.
But that's one of the big issues, I think, right now in like this political world that we're in lately. Politics has become very mainstream, and I think people are very, it's free speech until your speech doesn't agree with my speech, and then you just need to shut up.
Yeah.
No one wants to actually have a conversation and disagree with each other. And I think that's part of the problem, is, like I said in the last episode, was like, people are so into their fight, and it's the next civil rights fight, and we got to fight for trans lives, and we got to fight for black lives, and we got to fight for gay rights, and we got to fight, it's always some kind of fight. And if you even question anything, then you're, if you're not with us and you're against us, you got to get out. Like, there's no conversation anymore. It's not like just
no communication.
It's not like when it was just like 15 years ago when gay people they just wanted to get married. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to be treated as equals. Okay, cool. Here's your piece of paper. Like, I don't give a shit. But now it's turned into, it's not just we want to be same as everyone. It's we want to be different as everyone, and we need you to look the other way. And if you say anything about it, then you're the bad person.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a really good point. There's nobody talks to people anymore. There's no communication. And why? Because of social media. Like, social media has made it almost impossible to actually communicate with one another. I feel like that the growth and increase of all these different ways that we can, like, for example, for like bullying, my two older children experienced that, and social media makes it even more freaking easier for people to be bullied. And it don't matter what age you are, whether you're a teenager, young adult, our age, well, I'm older than you, but like, there's just bullies, bullying, and it still does have an effect, on people. I don't even know.
I still have stuff from, because when I was a kid, I was left out a lot. And part of that was just because I was kind of a quiet, shy kid. Part of it was because, like, when we discussed the addiction episode, because I had family that was doing this stuff and people didn't want their kids around me. And so to this day, like, sometimes, like, if I have friends that are doing something and they don't invite me, like, I'll get a little hurt, and I'll have to like check myself and be like, look, like, it's probably not you. They just are doing something, or maybe they're still going to invite you, or, whatever, or just pluck up the courage and ask if you can come, right. But I'll catch myself sometimes, like, getting that like little hurt, twinge. Yeah.
Like a trigger.
Yeah. And I mean, it's okay to have that stuff, but I think part of being an adult and maturing is having honest conversations and
knowing that it's okay to disagree, and that we all don't have to agree on the same thing.
And you see this a lot right now with like this whole abortion thing that's going on with Roe v. Wade. Is people are just like, they're just going straight for it. And one of the things that I've been getting yelled at for people about is like, one of my biggest pet peeves, and anyone that knows me knows this, that in an age where we have so much information at our fingertips, no one goes to look shit up. They just like read the headline and keep posting it. They'll repost this headline without actually reading the excerpt. So like the Roe v. Wade thing, everyone's like, oh, abortion's going to be banned. And I'm like, no, it's not going to be banned. The decision goes back to the states. You vote your government officials and your elected representatives, and you vote on what you want your limitations to be, if any. That's all it's doing. Instead of the federal,
you explain to me, because I had no clue.
Instead of the federal government deciding, your state's going to decide. And if you don't like the way your state decides, feel free to leave. No
Yeah.
one's making you stay.
Yeah. There's 49 other states or whatever.
And so people are just going on with this, oh, it's gonna be banned. And I'm like, no. It's not gonna be banned. This is what's happening. But people just keep posting it. They don't actually look up to see if it's true. And then like this last couple of days, everyone's like, oh, Mississippi says they're gonna ban IUDs and Plan B. And I'm like, no. If you actually read the excerpt of the thing, all it says is that the governor was asked about it and he said, that's not on our mind right now. We're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about Roe v. Wade. That's literally all he says, is that we haven't even discussed that yet. But everyone twists it and they're like, well, he did not say that he wasn't going to do it. And so it gets, and they just push it out there. Oh, Mississippi governor says he's going to ban, he doesn't have a decision on Plan B. Like, they just, and so my thing is with people all the time is I'm just like, you gotta discuss this stuff and you gotta actually look it up and see if what you're talking about is true. And you gotta be willing to have the conversation. And that is just one of my biggest pet peeve. And oh God, it just drives me nuts. And I think the same thing happens with the trans stuff and the social media and the TikToks. If people got so upset about how they looked, even though they're the one that posted the video, and then they had this stuff removed. And not only that, they endangered someone. When you put someone's information out there like that, like that's not okay. Whether or not you agree with what they have to say, you shouldn't do that, because there's, and this is happening with the Roe v. Wade thing right now too, is the person who, and never in the history of the Supreme Court has a decision been leaked before like this one has. So that's a precedent in itself, that someone released this to the public before it was actually struck down. And people are actually outside of these justices' houses right now protesting, like in front of their houses, trying to pretty much intimidate them into changing their vote. And I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to work. Like, as someone who is currently studying law, the whole point of the judiciary is to be the neutral body that doesn't have an opinion, doesn't take in public opinion. They're supposed to be neutral and look at nothing but the Constitution. They're supposed to look at the federal laws and see if something violates those laws. If it doesn't,
and since when are we getting violence struck upon us, no pun intended, for having our own opinion?
Well, that's what everyone does now. It's if we don't like what's being done, we go protest and riot and burn shit. Like, I'm okay for a peaceful protest, but these aren't, like, there's a difference between Martin Luther King walking down the street with a sign for civil rights and you flipping over police cars and setting them on fire and throwing Molotov cocktails at the cops because of this Roe v. Wade thing, and you standing outside someone's house and screaming at them and their families, trying to get them to change their opinion.
This was our...
I just think that's a dangerous road to go down, because
it really is. It really is.
That's where this whole thing is just getting out of hand for me. I'm not even super conservative, but I feel like as the days go by, I'm like going more that direction, just because everything is getting so insane. That,
unsafe.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of world are we raising our children in these days?
You should be able to have the conversations and disagree with each other. And it's just insane to me that that's like a taboo topic now, to be like, oh, well, I actually looked it up and that's not what's happening. But it just goes so far. Like, people are even saying, not to get too much on the abortion thing, we'll have to do an episode on that. But like, people are so into this right now that they're literally saying you should be able to abort up to 9 months. So like a full fetus that could live outside of its body, outside without you should still be able to. And I'm just like, look, by that point, you have had plenty of time to make the decision if you wanted this baby or not. And I'm not completely pro-life. I'm not completely pro-choice. I think maybe 8 weeks tops. Like, heartbeat usually starts at 6 weeks. That's where I'd like it to be. But I know that also sometimes people don't find out right away. So I'll give you a couple week leeway just out of respect. We can call it at 8 weeks, but I just feel like beyond that, it just doesn't feel right to me. But that's just my opinion. But that's why it goes back to the states. You
I'm going to
in
save
your
that topic
state,
for a day that we have more time, because I could really get on that one, but
we have to do that one. It's very hot right now, so I think we got to do that one.
I'm going to save it for that.
But as far as the, we were talking about the libs of TikTok is what this episode was originally, me and Karen and our squirrel brains, but
We just have our thoughts and opinions.
I just thought it was really, really interesting that these people got so offended about videos that they had put out, to the point where this person is now getting threats and getting taken off of social media and all this stuff for literally just reposting their videos.
Yeah, it's insane.
I just feel like that's kind of setting a precedent for future stuff. The way I always try to look at stuff is like, look, no matter which political side you look at, reverse whatever your opinion is, reverse it and see how you would feel. Like, if that was reversed and it was a person that was, say, pro-choice all the way up to 9 months, and then someone gave their personal information to the Westboro Baptist Church and these people were outside with their picket signs outside our house, would that be okay? No.
Right.
Like, it's absolutely not okay. You're allowed to have your choice and your opinion without feeling threatened by it,
Right.
Without someone having the right to come sit outside your house and yell at you.
Right.
I think those social media is such an awesome thing, and you can make money off of it now and all this stuff, but it's become a career in and of itself. And as people who obviously have made it our career ourselves, but there's a dangerous side to it where I just feel like, especially for the youth, as if being a teenager wasn't hard enough, now you got to add this on.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's such a mental health aspect to it now that people really need to be careful and have conversations with your kids and not just let your teenager make decisions for themselves, where they're like that one video where they're wearing collars and howling at the sky like a dog. Like, that's not normal. It's not, and I'm sorry, and it's not to put down anyone who might have a mental health problem, but I just don't also think it's okay to just act like that's normal, act like that's okay. I think it is better for society to address these things and to address the issue and try and solve the issue than just pretending like the issue isn't an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe that makes me a radical, but I'm just, I just feel like it's not the direction we want to go down.
Absolutely. I agree.
Makes you wonder what your kids are watching on that TikTok now, huh?
I'm going to be monitoring for sure. I'm about to go get them now, and I'm going to put that lock on like they said. And what they say, parental locks and monitoring what they have access to and limiting screen time, because that 2 hours. And absolutely, that's what I'm going to be doing. It's scary.
Well, I thought this was fun. I think we need to do maybe an abortion episode next, and since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, maybe dive deeper. I found out some cool statistics about the whole trans and identifying thing, so we could dive into some of those. We'll do a lot of mental health this month.
Yes.
And we're gonna have real conversations about it. If you guys don't like the conversation, you're free not to like it, but we're just having it to have it, and it's not a personal attack on anybody, and I'm not putting you down necessarily if you're like identifying with one of these groups. I just think it's a conversation that needs to be had, and we need to stop being so afraid to talk about it and because you're afraid to be labeled with a group. It's just,
yeah,
sorry,
but I gotta go. Thank you so much. Love you.
Bye guys, have a good day.
Bye.